Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first Triple Crown race in the Season 11 Parabolic Companies J2ICS GT3 Sprint Championship here from Daytona. As you can see, we've gone from one Roval to the other, travelling across the United States from Charlotte to Daytona between two different Roval circuits, one of which has really made its mark in the last decade or so as a fixture of American racing, one of which has got a little bit more history than that, I think it's fair to say. The Daytona International Speedway at the world centre of racing plays host to round 5 of our championship. It's myself, Ewan O'Leary, Chris Murphy with you again tonight for this JPB broadcast. Hope you're going to enjoy our slightly extended show tonight as we have an hour and a half of racing at Daytona. Good evening, Chris. Good to be alongside you again, just in qualifying at the moment. And as we can see, the weather has already dumped a load of water, actually, onto the circuit. But aside from that, this is going to be a sort of landmark round of this championship, if you like. We've only got two 90-minute races, but they're both at iconic racing circuits across the world, starting here at Daytona. Of course, Bathurst will be our championship finale later on in the season as well. But so much history at Daytona and a race that absolutely everybody's going to want to win.
Well, happy to be here with you tonight, Ewan. Really excited for this race at Daytona. I've been watching a bunch of these races at Daytona, and I'm not sure what the Just Two Idiots Club Racing have, but I think they like some punishment. I mean, this is 2 weeks in a row we've been in the rain. We saw last week at Roval just a lot of guys struggling with that wet conditions. I'm really curious to see how these guys are going to handle this rain here at Daytona. There's a big front coming in right now. I think we're going to see the rain pick up right here towards the end of qualifying, right before the start of the race.
It's going to be very difficult to read this race because of the weather that is falling and has already fallen onto the circuit as Nottingham goes to the top of the times. I'll get through some of the times in a moment, but before that, because there's still quite a way to go in qualifying, let's get to the championship points. The current situation being Sean Dickinson currently leading the way. Of course, that is Dickinson, his nickname on the left-hand side. Joshua Spears in second place, just in front of a real jump up through the field from Tigish in the last 2 weeks. 13th place 2 weeks ago. Now he's up to third. 8 of those places gained just last week. Hayden Fowler is next. That's his real name, of course, in our session. Nottavin, who's just gone to the top of our session. And then, of course, Simply Steve, who is 5th. He's dropped a couple of places, both last week in the race at Charlotte. Then a couple more drivers who have really shot through the field in the last couple of weeks here in this field. John Tyndall being one of them. That's G-Bait in our standings on the left-hand side. And also Corey Godwin as well, who has moved up 4 in the last week. That's Corndog, who was just inside the top 10 a couple of weeks ago and is now climbing up the field. But anyway, there you can see the rest of them in the rest of the top 10. And as you might imagine, looking at those driver standings, SimCity Racing are dominating the team standings. They're 1 and 2 in the drivers, so no surprises here. 98 points their gap to Night Racing Blue ahead of Team FX. That looks like some mathematical thing that I've forgotten since my school days. Don't really know what that means. Iron Bros are then 4th. They're the biggest gainers of the season, or at least since the last race so far, ahead of P1 Racing, who round out the top 5. It's all very close, though, outside of those top 3 positions especially. Those that third place especially is really up for grabs, actually, in the team standings. But SimCity Racing certainly dominating. It feels like we're coming here and saying this every week, Chris, but somebody at some stage surely has got to beat, or at least challenge, Sean Dickinson a little bit closer than what he's been challenged so far this season. He's had a really great season of complete domination, actually. And, briefly in this qualifying session, he didn't hold the best time. As the rain starts to fall again, we might have seen the best times now, but surely at some point you've got to think he might make a mistake or he might be challenged by someone a little bit closer. But so far we've said that for 4 weeks and it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, Dickinson was strong last week at Roval too, but he chose to start in the pits last week, which caused a little bit of confusion with the drivers. And actually, at first was awarded the win last week, but then it was taken away and given back to Tigish. So Tigish did get the win last week, even though Dickinson technically was probably out in front because a technical error of starting in the pits. He was down a lap. But Dickinson, like you said, he's just been dominant. You might as well just hand him the trophy right now with only a few weeks left to go. But and again, as you said, he's at the top of the point. In P1 right now for qualifying as well.
Absolutely. It was complicated last week with Dickinson starting in the back. It doesn't look like he's going to be repeating that. However, having said that, he did qualify on pole at the Roval, I'm pretty sure, and then didn't start. So whatever. That's one of the big talking points going through here. Lots of penalties and so on to settle from Charlotte, which was another one of those wet races. Let's see if he starts from the pit lane here, Dickinson. It's apparently his self-proclaimed least favourite track in the world, but doesn't seem to matter based on the practice times. He was fastest on Sunday and last night on Wednesday. Sunday and Tuesday, I think. Where he was fastest. Might have got that wrong, but he was certainly fastest in a couple of the sessions with a 45.4. That would have been in dry conditions, though, of course, and we've lost about 10 seconds or so in terms of lap time here in this qualifying session since then. The 45.1, the best lap time of the week. That was set by Spookdubs, actually, in the Corvette on the other session. That was a session that Dickinson wasn't at. Dickinson in the online servers, this of course takes out any private practice he may have done, has done 64 laps around this circuit. That equates to nearly 2 hours of practice in the online servers. Again, he may have done some more offline to just get ready for this race, but we obviously can't know that. And of course, as we've already seen, big shake-up in the points heading into this round of the championship. So a big opportunity for some to maybe capitalise on that and continue, because it is a bit closer after Dickinson dropping some points last week. We'll see whether it gets even closer before the end of today. Not too many lap times still yet to come in here. Prince Adam is one of those who hasn't actually set a time at all yet in the 3 attempts he's had so far. This is his 3rd attempt, I should say, and he's the final of our 30 drivers who have made their way into this session tonight. That looks like it's a 58, low 58 from him, so he's going to be quite a long way down towards the bottom. I don't know about you, Chris, but it does seem to have gotten a little bit wetter as this session has gone on. I'm not seeing very many improvements coming in, to be honest, from the likes of Prince Adam, who, again, that lap time didn't count for him. He's got to get a lap time in of some description here and just get himself a little bit further up the field, because starting from the back for a driver like him would be very damaging indeed for him. And it would make his life a lot more difficult. He's now 11th in the standings. I don't think he was here last week, but he's a strong driver and he can't afford to start right at the back.
Yeah, these wet conditions, it does look like it's starting to rain a little bit harder. It's getting wetter and wetter out there, which you can see the lap time starting to slow down quite a bit. You know, the difference we're seeing here, the last few races have been a little bit more technical tracks. Even with Charlotte, it was a little more technical than we have at Daytona. We're going to see a lot of high speeds up on these bankings. You're going to see the slipstream come into play as well. But with these wet conditions, it's really going to equalize the field out a little bit. I expect the Corvettes and the Mustangs to be up towards the front in this field with this high speed corners up on the banking.
And this will be another big problem in the race as well, by the way. That offline on the way towards the pit lane is going to be a big factor here, because so much water accumulates off the circuit. There is Tigges, though. He's 15th place in the session at the moment. That's G-Bait in the Ferrari. But Tigges, 15th place in that Mustang. That is not a good qualifying performance from him. And he's going to need to improve massively if his recent form is to be continued. We're expecting a couple of pit stops here tonight, of course, with the longer race. So race laps expected to be at 46 or so, but a tank can only go maybe 17 laps if you stretch it. That would be a stretch, but even 2 17s will only get you to 34, and that'll be 12 short. So you're going to need 2 pit stops here tonight, which I think is a good thing for this series to us. 2-stop races are always more interesting than 1-stop. As we just see there, Prince Adam goes over the line, 24th place for him. He's at least in the 57s, and at least he's got something to show on the board.
Yeah, the 2 pit stops going to make it a little more exciting. You know, a lot of these races where we've seen only 1 stop, we're not even seeing drivers take tires on for these hour-long races. So this 90 minutes is going to definitely change up some strategy. You know, if you are going to take tires, if that's going to be your strategy, do you take them early on the first stop, or do you wait towards the end and take them later on to have a little more pace there at the end of the race? So. And I guess, you know, it's also going to depend on if this weather condition holds up. It looks like we're going to have off and on rain throughout the event. So if it dries up towards the end, you're definitely going to want to put some new tires on, give you some pace right there at the end, and make up any ground you may have lost.
Yeah, as you mentioned, tyre changes. A little bit more unsure about that tonight. Normally we get pretty definitive yes or no on that, but unsure is the comment that we've got in our notes this week. So we'll just have to play it by ear and see how we go. I would go at least one tyre change, I would expect to see, personally. But, and again, I've not done too much driving in the wet in these GT3s, I must admit. So there you go. What do I know? Before the qualifying session comes to a close and we get up the grid, so we'll just tell you, of course, about Parabolic Companies, our title sponsor of the J2ICS GT3 Championship here this season. Of course, very proud to have them on board, as always. At Parabolic Companies, we don't just invest in real estate, we build momentum. From revitalising neighbourhoods to powering progress through innovative development, our mission is to create lasting impact in every community we touch. Whether it's laying foundations or backing fierce competition on the virtual track, Parabolic brings precision, passion and performance. Parabolic Companies grounded in growth, driven to win. And once again, really proud to have them on board this season for the J2ICS GT3 Championship. Of course, J2ICS this season going with just a single championship rather than two running side by side. It runs across 11 weeks, 10 rounds in different circuits around the world. We've already been to South America, and for our first European leg of the championship, we're going back for a second leg of the European season, coming up starting next week at Rudskogen, then Brands Hatch, before returning to America, Sebring, Belle Isle and Bathurst to round out our season, as we've already talked about. There are the qualifying results. Dickinson just under 2 tenths in front of Joshua Spears, with Bob Nova in third place. Only 5-6 cars within 1 second, and then a little bit further down, quite a few more within 2 seconds. But normally, Chris, in Daytona, we're talking about who's close enough to get the slipstream here. And, you know, most of those drivers still would be, even with a relatively stretched out field. Not sure in the wet weather that's quite going to be the same here. It's not quite going to be the same slipstream fest, I don't think, compared to what we normally see at this circuit.
I would think if you can be within about a second to a second and a half of the driver in front of you, you're going to definitely catch some advantage from that slipstream in front of you. Time's pretty close right here. Like you said, top 8, they're all within about, actually top 6 within a second or so. But all throughout the field, only about a second and a half back, 2 seconds back. So really looking for some exciting racing here. I love Daytona. I like to watch NASCAR here, so seeing these GT3 cars on here is just going to be more exciting.
A good evening to everyone tuning in as well tonight. Aitma just reminding us that it's all the forecasts are based on real life forecasts. So I didn't know you guys in America were having such bad weather recently, or whether we've just caught a couple of bad days. But that's 2 weeks in a row now in our only 2 American races so far. So there you go. Whatever. We'll see what happens at Brands Hatch, I suppose. We'll deliver you some British weather, I'm sure, when we get there in a couple of weeks' time. But is the weather bad in America at the minute, or is it just unlucky?
Well, on that side of the country, it's which is 3,000 miles away in Florida, it's pretty common for them to have these afternoon thunderstorms. Over here on the West Coast where I'm at, it's beautiful, sunny, and 100 degrees. So it's but it's not really uncommon for Florida, especially around that Daytona area, to get these thunderstorms build up in the afternoons and have these little showers come through. So I think that's exactly what we're seeing here right now. We saw it last week at Charlotte as well.
Tropical is the word I'd use.
There you go. Tropical storms for sure.
The weather. Yeah. You know, around your neck. Well, I'll say around your neck of the woods. You're probably going to tell me it's 12 hours to drive to Laguna Seca or something, given the size of your country. But anyway, somewhere like that would be. I mean, not raining at this time yet. I don't know if I've ever seen rain at Laguna Seca before. Has it ever rained there before?
Oh, it does. It's just not very common.
Yeah. No, I'm joking. I'm sure it has, but yeah, it's very, very, very rare. I've certainly never seen a race in the recent past there with rain. So there you go. No West Coast races in this first American leg, or indeed in the second leg. Actually, I think this is probably the most western we get, isn't it? Or last week, sorry, it was the most western we get. Charlotte, maybe, or is Detroit maybe a bit more west? I don't know, but certainly not very west anyway. And it's very likely, or well, not likely, but you know, it's possible that Sebring and Belle Isle could deliver us some similar weather in the start of September.
Yeah, looking forward to Sebring. I haven't really watched a race there in quite a while, so that'll be really interesting. And I'm sure when we get over to Brands Hatch, back over to the UK, it's definitely going to be raining over there. It's probably raining there right now, isn't it?
No, we've actually had our 4th heat wave of the summer, so we're roasting because we're not suited for this kind of weather. I'm not sure what 30 degrees Celsius is in Fahrenheit actually, but it's probably not that far away from 100. I reckon we've been in the 90s today, probably Fahrenheit. So yeah, it's unusual, but as you say, by the time we get to Brands Hatch in 2 weeks' time, end of August, could well have changed, very much so. So we'll look forward to that. And of course, Rudskogen as well is in Norway, which is not exactly the most tropical country in the world either. So we could be in for a few weeks of pretty difficult weather. Anyway, that's a very long-winded way of talking about the weather. The fact that it's based on real-life broadcasting in this series. Good afternoon as well to Penny Dickinson, as always, who's tuned in. Looking forward to seeing Pancakes join the J2ICS Championship, competing with Dickinson and Joshua Spears, of course, who are SimCity Racing drivers. Pancakes also in the Ford Mustang here tonight at Daytona. And also good evening to Greg, who says it's a proper late one. I presume talking to me, mainly. It says 3 a.m. for him. It's also 3 a.m. for me. So there you go. We'll be going through the night though here in Europe, and of course into the evening in America. As far as those of you on the West Coast go in America, this is probably the most suitable series in an evening, especially if you've got a normal day job. It's most suitable to racing because it's only just gone 7 p.m. on the West Coast, and so it's a very nice time to go racing for an hour and a half here tonight. And we don't start an hour earlier like we did last series either, which might have put some people out the equation. It's just starting at the normal start time and pushing through for an extra half an hour and an extra pit stop and the extra pitfalls that comes with here at Daytona tonight. But anyway, I'll stop blabbering on and let's and start looking at the starting grid ready for this race. As I said, 90 minutes on the clock here for us, and it's a SimCity Racing 1 and 2 with Dickinson and Joshua Spears on the front row. Bob Nova and Notvin, who challenged initially in qualifying, just dropped back a little bit towards the end. They share the second row, and Simply Steve and Captain CK. It is Pancakes and Cat Daddy then on row 4, ahead of Nicoletta and Bob Wallace. Jen and Corn Dog then share row 6 at a Biker Pilot and Corrido. Tigis surprisingly down in 15th and Squilliam surprisingly down in 16th. They'll be looking to move forward with G-Bane Spooked up quite a long way back as well. AJ is then at 19th ahead of Zach, with Sassy and Nota Supra sharing an all McLaren row 11. Golic Dog, Prince Adam, Urko, Huzia Dallas, Paperbag, Just Dylan, Pebble, Long Island Nerd all round out the 30 drivers who have gotten to the grid very quickly, and they're getting underway already to go into the bus stop chicane. It is a rather large grid. I don't imagine we're going to get all of them to the finish. Sadly, this race, especially for those at the back, especially early on, it's going to be a lot about survival in this opening lap especially.
Yeah, we'll see if we can make that. It's a quick pace down into turn number 1 and a hard braking into that first left-hander. You know, if we get through that first corner without a little bit of chaos, I'll be really surprised. But I look at these. I look at, like you said, Dickinson and Spears teammates up here on the front. SimCity. I think they're going to team up here. They're going to stay. They're going to drop in the line. I think they've got a plan. Probably to let one go out in front of the other, and kind of protect that lead spot here, at least for the first lap or so.
Well, let's find out as those SimCity colours block out the front row. See how long they leave it as well here. You do sometimes see them waiting quite a long time at Daytona because that slipstreaming opportunity down towards turn number 1. But will they just decide to go? It's certainly going to be coordinated between the two teammates, and they are going to wait a little bit here at the beginning of this race. It's actually going to go into the proper NASCAR restart zone before we get this race underway. Round 5 of the Parabolic Company's J2ICS GT3 Championship is underway as Dickinson brings him into turn 1 and Spears immediately over a puddle there and into the outside of the circuit. Goodness me, that was difficult there to tiptoe through. But it looks like at least the top contenders have made it. Side by side between Bob Nova and Simply Steve, who's racing through in the McLaren there. On board with Bob Nova, who needs to brake early here so as not to run to the back of the McLaren in front of him. And he manages that. Notovin gets up to 3rd place as well. That's up 1. Bob Nova down 2. They're the only positions who change inside the top 7 as they all get away to a rather tentative start here, even at the back of the field.
Jump back here to the middle of the field right here, looking at Corn Dog here back in 14th. That is quite a mess of cars right there making their way through here, but surprisingly enough, they're making it through really cleanly side by side. Haven't seen too many cars off track here, not a lot of bumping and rubbing, so clean racing right here through the first lap.
Absolutely, through the West Horseshoe. side by side, puddles everywhere. Bit of a slide as well from one of those Porsches in the background. That's the group involving Biker Pilot and G-Bay and Spook Dubs, who haven't really gone anywhere. Spook Dubs, of course, was fastest in practice 2 earlier this week. A big surprise to see him only just inside the top 20 as they enter the banking for the first time. And that is actually down 1 on where he started. AJ has made up 3 places to demote him 1. Squilliam up 5 so far. He qualified quite poorly as well, so not surprising to see him up into 11th. Here's the camera shot through the bus stop, and look at them slide over the puddles here. They're barely making the corner, and that was one of the Porsches going wide. Is that Bob Nova maybe struggling on this opening lap again? Side by side, meantime, further back in the pack. Goodness me, it's a tricky chicane, but they all just about make it through, it looks like, other than Corrido, who looks like maybe has found the outside of the bus stop chicane on the first time.
That bus stop's really fun. You're coming down such high speeds out through 1 and 2, and they got to slow down for that really hard, do that bus stop chicane, and then pick the speed back up, back through the NASCAR 3 and 4 down to the tri-oval, and then this hard left-hand corner here as we look at Squilliam right here behind Jen, coming through turn 4 on the NASCAR track, heading across the start finish line to the tri-oval and down to that left-hander into turn 1.
Close on the way towards turn 1 that time, but not close enough. Look at the gaps up here. Dickinson already with 1.5 seconds. Joshua Spears with nearly 2 seconds over Notovin, who's ahead of Steve, and then Captain CK, who's now ahead of Bob Nova as well. Not been a great start for Bob Nova, unfortunately. Down 3 places earlier. But this is Notovin, the most realistic challenger to those 2 Mustangs in front, and just look at how hard he's pushing, even to stay in touch with them. They're already almost getting out of sight.
Look back here to Simple Steve. So Steve here hanging on. I'm glad you can remember everybody's nickname. I get it all confused here, but Steve right there behind Notovin right in that 4th spot, looking pretty solid right now. He's good in practice all week. See if he can stay on track. You know, last week on the Roval in this rain, we saw multiple cars off track already within lap 2. These guys are doing a really great job here at Daytona, especially with these higher speeds on the banking.
Yeah, higher speeds. You just wonder whether the proximity of the walls not being quite so close is helping. But don't want to speak too soon on that. Of course, you can find the wall very easily through the bus stop chicane, for example. Tigges is probably closest to making a move, and he's made up 2 already. So this is good progress needing to be made from a driver, of course, who has made so many gains in the championship in the recent past, up to 3rd place after winning last week. This is further behind for just Dylan.
Like a little off right here. Oh, just car snapped around on him right there. Fortunately, he didn't make any solid contact or anything, just kind of off on that little out path there, but going to get it going again once again. We also had Paper Bag also with an incident right around the same time here. Trying to pick him out of the pack here, see where he's at. Oh, I guess it looks like he's going to get a little help. I'm not sure who that was on the inside there, but just caught that left rear quarter, turned him around.
One of the Acuras might have been Long Island Nerd. He's in an Acura down the back of the field, but that's just a pure guess. Out to the front of the field and off the banking again for Joshua Spears, because he's coming back in towards turn 1, of course. That sharp left-hander, which is so treacherous in any conditions, but especially these ones. And there in the background, Squilliam. He's trying to get past Jen on the way towards the International Horseshoe, and he has made the most places of anybody inside the top 20. Up 5 places already, all of them made up, by the way, on the first lap of the race. But now, as this settles down, it will become more difficult to make up the places. Oh, and he's off there, trying to make up a place on Jen. Just went a little bit wide through the fast left-hander.
Yeah, you can just see from that in-car shot just how difficult it is to see behind when you're that close behind somebody else. As we jump up here to Nicolator here, trying to find his way around Captain CK.
Yeah, he's lost a couple of places, hasn't he? Since the last couple of moments. Bob Nova back up 1, Pancakes up a place as well, into 6th. So that's might have been an off for Captain CK. I did see somebody with an off track actually up.
Had a couple cars off there. We'll look at just Carido. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but it's like he had a little bit of an incident right here.
I'm just guessing as well.
Kind of same thing we saw a little bit ago.
One of the ouch! And look at that. The McLaren and Acura is running into each other nose to tail. It's one of the Ironbro cars, I think. So
looked like it was a Long Island Nerd as well involved in that. We'll jump back here, take one more quick look.
Yeah.
Got nice.
So he's made up a lot of places so far, but this was a late dive. So Long Island actually just runs into the back of the McLaren that went off in front of him. So it was actually an innocent bystander in that one by the looks of things, which is a bit unfortunate. It was either Sassy or Zach, because they are the two Iron Bros McLarens, but obviously can't identify which one it was
like
down the back end of the field.
Looks like Squilliam had an incident here. We'll take a look right here. Looks like, is that underneath Corn Dog? Right there.
Be Jen, I think.
You're right. It is Jen. Yep.
Oh!
Same thing we've seen. Just kind of got in there a little bit. We saw that earlier, just how hard it is to see from that in-car view, and I think he just closed up on the back of Jen a little quicker than expected.
And so difficult to stop it from getting away from you once it started like that. You can just see we saw it with that Mustang that spun through here a couple of laps ago. Once it starts spinning around and you're sliding on the surface of the water, it is absolutely impossible to do anything about it. You need to get some boat equipment out rather than a race car. It's unbelievable. This is the latest attacker to Jen at the moment, who's done a lot of her race so far just defending. Tigges, though, with a good run, almost Porsche-like, coming out of turn 6 that time and onto the banking once again, into the slipstream and looking to get into the top 10 as well.
Yeah, looking back from Jen right here, looking at Tigges. Tigges, last week's winner, looking to move up some spots way back there in 11th round. Going to look to the outside of Jen right here. Is he going to have a run up along the outside into the banking? You can see that power from that Mustang, but just not quite enough. He's going to have to back off and settle back into that 11th spot behind Jen through the bus stop.
And Pancakes has been off through. Oh, there, one of the cars off, and it is Pancakes in that Mustang who's gone off through the bus stop. And look at the wheels spinning here as he's trying to get out the grass. Goodness me, you'd never see that in iRacing. It's so wet in these conditions. Just trying to get out the grass, taking ages. And he moves down to 19th place, sadly, for Pancakes. It's a spin through the bus stop chicane for him. Bob Nova loses places, meantime, further up front to Captain CK, who's back in the top 5, and Nicoletta as well. This is how that must have happened through turn 6.
Looks to get it, just got in there a little too deep, just couldn't make the corner, and just going to drive off the outside of the racetrack there. Going to lose a couple of spots. Yeah, Pancakes was looking really good. This is Pancakes' debut with the league. Was running up there in the top 10, up into 6th. But a little off right there is going to send him way back to 19th.
Yeah, we'll just stay with this.
Sorry.
We'll jump back. Corn Dog and AJ are off. Meantime. Oh, and it's a follow the leader off in the background. Bob Nova goes very wide. He breaks to get back on again with Wallace just in behind. Bob Wallace in 8th. And Bob Nova keeps that position at least, but this is not an easy start for Bob Nova at all.
No, Bob Nova's now got. Is that not Bob Wallace? Is that what we're saying here?
Yeah.
not actually Bob Nova. Yeah, exactly. So Bob Nova, you're right. Bob Nova down 4 spots already, but had a couple offs already. So let's see if he can make his way back up to the front here, get around Nicoletta for 6. I'm trying to keep up with all these incidents. We're going to take a look here. What happened to Corn Dog? We'll jump back through here. A lot of offs happening. A lot of minor stuff here, but let's see how this affects here from Corn Dog.
Oh, he's going to get absolutely power drive by AJ. I think that must be, because AJ also went off down here. And that was not Corn Dog's fault. That was just in behind Squilliam, by the way, so it must have been about 13th at the time. And, couldn't do anything about that. Just got run straight into.
We're going to jump over and take a look at Captain CK, also with another off here. But most of the instances we've seen so far have either been, like right there. Oh, that's a pretty hard hit there from Captain CK. So they've either been self-induced pain or most of them have actually been just somebody getting in too deep and running into the car in front of them.
And in the unenviable position as well of being just stuck in the middle of the road. But that is a real shame for Captain CK, who crashes out of 5th place in the early part of this race at Daytona. Now on the brakes for Bob Nova again, who's on the defensive again. Not sure what pace he found in qualifying, because compared to the race so far, he's finding this very, very difficult. Blackbird Wallace next in line, and then it's Tigges. Here he is, on board with him in the Mustang as they come into the International Horseshoe now. He will just watch the 2 Porsches up ahead, but surely he'll be fancying his chances, as everyone will, at getting past Bob Nova, who just continues to lose places, sadly, early on here.
Let's see here. Sorry, just making some adjustments to the sound here. I'm getting some notes from our outside producers giving us some tips. But yeah, some good racing going on here. Let's see if Tegish can work his way back up through here. He's made up a few spots. He's already up 7 spots. Started back in 15th, up to 8th. Looks like not Bob Wallace and Bob Nova are going to be his next 2 victims here if he can keep pushing his way to the front.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be one of those battles that entertains, as it looks like, for the early part of this race. Not expecting to see pit stops, as I said earlier, until 16, 17 laps at maximum. We're only 6 laps in right now, so plenty of time to go until we have to start talking a little bit about strategy in this race here today. So we'll leave that on park for the moment and just enjoy the racing while we've got it, because it may not last the whole race, considering the conditions and how difficult they are. This is Cat Daddy just in behind Jen, coming out of the bus stop, very nearly touching the wall, and now getting into the slipstream. But again, this is not a circuit that the Porsche, I don't think, is going to particularly enjoy. Maybe the wet is going to alleviate it a bit, but we speak constantly about the lack of straight line speed on one of these Porsches, and well, it's not really getting anywhere in the slipstream of this Corvette at the moment.
I expected the Corvettes to be, with their top line speed, be a little better down the, especially up on these high banks, but it looks like still the Mustang is going to have dominant right now with Dickinson and Spears out in front. And Cat Daddy looking really good here in his Porsche as well.
Yes, through the infield section especially, looking better. That was Steve off the road, by the way, in the last couple of moments. Notvin still running third in that Corvette himself. Teammates with Jen, who I think they share a Discord. Yeah, they do share a Discord together in this this chat. It's a bit more tribal these days. Don't want to call it too tribal, of course.
Oh, Tegish went
off.
off.
Oh, there's a big spin for Tegish. Big spin through the kink there at turn 4. That was a big moment, and again, he's going to spend a lot of time getting back on the racetrack here. He's going to just rejoin sort of Cutting's part of the circuit, but he won't get a slowdown because he's slowed down so much. He's outside of the top 10 just as he was making progress, and he has a big spin to the inside.
Let's go back and take a look at that real quick to see what happened. Looks like he, let's see here.
Oh.
Back a little further, it looks like.
It's a long time off in the grass for Tegish, and he eventually made it back on again, but that's G-Bay just in front, and he might still be serving some slowdown actually. He's certainly slow on the back straight, and so G-Bay does have to get through after all. I would have thought they'd let him off without a slowdown after all that, but clearly not. He's clearly lost time anyway, but maybe they're penalising him for being not as bad as it otherwise might have been. This is Jen still, same as it was before, but now Squilliam has joined the fray, and they're all up a place, of course. Squilliam's now back into the top 10 again, and he's up 6 places so far.
Yeah, Squilliam, one of the benefactors of Tegish, is off right there. Going to move up a spot, like you said, up to 10th right now. Up 6 spots for Squilliam. Had it off early on. Looks to got his composure back here. Working his way back to the front of the field. Got Cat Daddy right up in front of him there in the Porsche. Let's see if he can get around. Let's see if he can make his way around Cat Daddy. Last week we had Daddy and Cat fights back and forth. So now it's Squilliam has an off right here as we're just praising him.
Oh. And, if he continues on, that's a couple in 15 minutes now. If he continues on, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, fortunately, he's not even going to get a top 10 finish here at a track where he's clearly relatively comfortable. He's clearly going okay. But in terms of the outright consistency, not quite got it. You can just see a little bit too late on the brakes. Catches the white line, which you've either got to cross entirely or not at all. And he goes around for the 2nd time in this race.
Trying to find us some action on the racetrack. We got G-Bay and Tegish right here. Tegish trying to work way back up to the front after that incident here a few laps ago. Actually, just a couple laps ago. Trying to work way back up into the top 10. Up onto the banking right here. Let's see if Tegish can make up some ground. Not kind of losing some ground here to G-Bay. I thought that Mustang be a little faster on the banking, but losing some ground to G-Bay right there in front of him.
It depends a little bit on the exit. Now we'll start to gain some time as the Mustang power starts to come into play, but not enough before the bus stop chicane. Oh, that's wide. That's going to be off, is it? No, he's put it up in time. That was a very fast entry for G-Bay, but he pulled it up in time and makes the corner. There's the next train of cars in the background. We're not that far behind, and indeed not far away from each other. There's a big group for 17th, by the way, by Corndog. Prince Adams looking for his way past them all as well. Head of paper bag for 19th. It's all happening at the moment as Bob Nova sets personal best. In fact, there's a lot of personal bests hanging about at the moment. Seems that the rain maybe is just lightening up a little bit now. And these times are starting to get down towards what we were doing in qualifying. Maybe they'll get quicker by the end of the day as well, as Nicoletta goes on the defensive here. It's from Bob Nova. Continues to apply that pressure from that 6th place.
And Nicoletta with his hands full right now. Bob Nova trying to get back up through the field there after losing 3 spots. You can see back there a little wiggle right there from Bob Nova, loses a little bit of ground, but he really gets into the corner well, all over the back of Nicoletta right there. Let's see if he can make any ground coming off the corner. Nicoletta's going to live to fight another day. Bob Nova right there behind him. Porsche's doing really well. We saw a lot of the Porsche drivers last week at Charlotte in the range struggle. Looks like they've kind of got a handle here. We've seen a few offs, but nothing serious here. And Bob Nova now right up on the back of Nicoletta, up through turns 1 and 2 on the NASCAR track. We'll catch them as they get down into the bus stop and see if Bob Nova can find a way around. Or am I in the wrong part of the track?
Oh, he's gonna have to be on the inside if he's going to do it at all, as Bob Nova starts to grow back into this race again. He's on the inside before the bus stop, round the outside for the McLaren. Oh, he's a little bit wide. He's okay though. Is Bob Nova who get away with that. Nicoletta will keep that 5th position in front of Bob Nova. So he gets away with one there a little bit, but that was close. Tigges again close to G-Bait, but how can he get through for this 10th position? Again, going to be difficult. Bob Nova is closer, it looks like, to Nicoletta. It looks like his Porsche not struggling quite as much for straight line speed, although now at the end of the straight it starts to waver a little bit. See whether that Mustang will get any closer in the background from Tigges to G-Bait. It looks like that Mustang does have a little bit more power. Looks like might even be alongside in the background, and indeed he is through. I think G-Bait actually let him have that one, really. Despite setting a personal best, it wasn't enough to keep 10th place. So it has to give that one up as Bob Nova takes a different line out of the International Horseshoe and uses that Porsche traction. He's got to use the parts of the racetrack where the Porsche is a bit stronger, and that's what he's doing right now. Outside though for turn 4, and he's not going to make it all the way around there. He has forced a mistake there from Nicoletta. Oh, he's off there and very nearly took him off as well. Bob Nova back into the top 5, but that was a pretty high risk move.
That was a good strategy by Bob Nova there. Took that corner into the outside, forced Nicoletta down to the bottom. The Nicoletta had to kind of cut off his speed, get into the corner, lift a little bit more than he wanted to. And that allowed Bob Nova to kind of do a crossover coming off the corner, force that mistake from Nicoletta as he kind of went off in the grass. Bob Nova with a nice move works his way back up into the top 5.
Absolutely.
Oh, we might have had another off from Squilliam here. It's just that same one from earlier.
Well, we'll see whether it is similar.
Oh, same one.
It's yeah. So still Squilliam. Where has he recovered to now in the field? He is up to 13th again. Yeah. So he's in a very congested part of the field, which is helping him make quick overtakes, but he'll lose the places just as quickly if he keeps spinning around as he has been, as this track is starting to quicken now. 56.2, fastest lap of the race so far, set by Dickinson, who holds a 3.5 second lead. This is what Squilliam can see. Not a whole lot being the answer there. Comes out of the bus stop, now needs to get in the slipstream of Zach and try and pass him towards turn 1 and try not to spin through turn 1, which he's managed twice so far in these opening laps.
I can just see how tough that is to see. Squilliam doing a really good job just falling right in the tire tracks of Zach, but he's got a good run down here coming off of turn number 4 coming up into the tri-oval area. Let's see if he can outbrake him into turn number 1, maybe do a similar move to what Bob Nova did. Squilliam right there looking to the inside. Actually going to take a sweep to the outside. Going to go around the outside right now of Zach. Not able to complete the pass. Let's see if he can do the crossover like we saw. Oh, he gets a little bit loose right there. Just about catches that wall. So Squilliam doing everything he can to get around Zach for that 11th spot right now.
And he looks up the inside. Oh, but he very nearly hits him there. He had to back out of that. I think he could have stayed committed, but maybe not, actually, as he turned out of the International Horseshoe, just so as not to almost T-bone Zach in front of him. Pancakes and Urko will gain a lot as a result there, and they're right there now. Urko, by the way, has gained 11 places so far and wants a few more. Pancakes looking to avenge some spins from earlier as well, of course. He qualified 7th and is down the field. So a lot of strong drivers here, quite a long way down the field, looking to make up places in this group.
Yeah, Pancakes with a little wiggle. We jumped in the in-car with him and had a little wiggle off the corner. That allowed Urko to close up on the back of him. Urko looking really strong right now. Like you said, up 11 spots. Started way back in 25th. Now up to 14th. Having a really good run. Let's see if he can find a way around Pancake. Pancake looks to be struggling just a little bit off the slower corners, trying to get back into the throttle. Spun the tires there a couple of times. That's actually what caused him to spin earlier as well.
In comparison to that Porsche, it's definitely going to be a recurring theme. That Mustang a lot more difficult to get back up to speed again than the rear-engine Porsche, as Garlic Dog and Prince Adam in the background go side by side into the bus stop chicane of 15th place, and Prince Adam's going to come out with that position. Garlic Dog backs out in the background. Corn Dog, Paperbag and Sassy are all there as well. So a 4-driver group for 11th place and a 5-driver group for 15th place as well. There's still plenty going on here, despite the fact that 11 laps have gone here at Daytona, and we're probably only a few laps away from seeing the first pit stops of the day.
Yeah, 22 minutes into this hour-and-a-half race, we look like we might have had Hoosier Daddy with an off a little bit ago as well. We'll jump over and see what happened there. Looks like he's going to come through turn 2 or turn 3. Just gonna miss the corner. Just not gonna brake hard enough getting in. Not too much of an off there. Not sure why he gave him a crash for that, but so Hoosier Daddy trying to collect his thoughts and get moving forward again.
Yeah, we'll keep watching as Prince Adam's off. Meantime, we were just watching that group, and this is what's happened to Prince Adam through turn 6.
Get back to live there.
Back to live. Oh, no, well, it wasn't. Oh, big moment for his teammate up front. Meantime, and back out straight onto the circuit again. Goodness me, is that must be Paperback just in front of Sassy going off the road and somehow saving it. Prince Adam round the outside looking for places. He'll get past Corrido and now maybe Sassy as well. Steams down the inside. Oh, this is aggressive. Prince Adam makes up those 2 places again very quickly.
Yeah, late dive there from Prince Adam. Pretty aggressive right there, but Sassy did a good job holding the outside and not making it any worse than it was. But Prince Adam trying to get back to the front, maybe a little frustrated there from the mistake earlier that cost a couple spots. Trying to get back up for the back of his teammate, see if they can push their way forward. But Sassy did a good job there. Didn't have a lot of room. Didn't make it any worse than it was.
Steve has jumped back to pit lane, by the way, after being off circuit for some time. So pretty much everybody gains a place, other than those on the podium already. Steve was running in 4th place when he came into the pit lane, which is a real shame. Could be the end of his day. It already has been the end of the day for G-Bay, Captain CK, Biker Pilot and Just Dylan. So hopefully Simply Steve doesn't become another retirement, his 5th retirement of the day. But it looks like, based on our graphics, that Steve has indeed become 5th retirement of the day.
Take a look here at Jen, trying to close up on the back of Not Bob Wallace. Back in the 7th spot, we're getting the cars spread out a little bit, not as quite a tight a racing as we had early on. We're almost 25 minutes into this race. You would expect to be seeing some more pit stops here pretty soon, probably within the next 5 minutes, I would guess.
Well, lap 16 is mooted to be the limit. As I said earlier, if anyone saves something, then 17 might be possible. But 16 should be the limit. But you don't want to pit too early also, because the window is not actually very wide here at this circuit for pitting. So you do kind of want to run this first tank dry and then see where you are a little bit. Eatma just says that it was a VR failure for Steve. That's a real shame for him, a technical problem, which we're not going to see very much of, unfortunately. But yeah, that's a VR failure. The equivalent of a mechanical failure in real life. We don't have those, but we do have equipment failure for the individuals. And it's unfortunate that Steve's had that happen to him. Steve has had an unideal couple of rounds, really. He's down to 5th in the driver's standings coming in today after not attending Charlotte. Well, unfortunately, his points are going to reflect a very, well, that he might as well not have attended here as well at Daytona. Steve is going to lose quite a few places in the championship as Corn Dog's overtaken there by Paper Bag into the bus stop.
Prince Adam trying to follow through there. Going to have a good look to the inside as they head up onto the banking. That's quite a transition off that flat part down the middle, up onto this 31-degree banking. And you can see Prince Adam all over the back of Corn Dog here. Get a jumping car with him to see what he can see. You can see, wow, just a wing full in the front, looking out the front window. Prince Adam's going to take a look to the inside here, up through the tri-oval.
Oh, his teammate's in the way. You don't often see that. Boxed in by his own teammate into turn one, and there's going to be contact, surely? No, not quite. They were on a crash course there, those two, for a moment before they sorted themselves out. But Prince Adam gets through on Corn Dog in towards turn number one, and they all sorted out at the finish. That was a bit fortunate, I should say. Prince Adam works his way through, who continues to try and make up these places now, of course, as he recovers from the issues of the day. Of course, qualified 24th, so he's got a lot of overtakes to make here.
I think Prince Adam just enjoys driving without not being able to see. He's right up on the back of just about everybody here. Kind of get a nice little reprieve here through the slower part of the track with not as much spray in his face, but as you see, as they're going to come back up onto the high banking, it is just difficult to see. So Prince Adam trying to get around his teammate there, Paper Bag, for 14th position right now.
I can imagine there's going to be a swap here, whether it's orchestrated or not. Not between these two, though. Zach versus Squilliam. This is Squilliam's latest attempt to get back into the top 10 and to stay there. Outside into the bus stop. That's surely never going to work. And he only just backs out of it. He wants to stay really close, though, so that he can get the run now out of the bus stop chicane and onto the banking for the next straight. In behind him, Urko is being brought with him as Urko really races through the field here in the early part of this race. But Squilliam's going to have another chance to get in the top 10 by turn number one.
As Williams got this slipstream up through the high banking through I keep calling it 3 and 4. I know that's not the right terms, but it is for the NASCAR track. So through this little tri-oval section down in turn number one, let's see if Squilliam has anything. Not really. Going to look to the outside once again. Up on the outside, is that going to? Oh, it's going to have an off right here. Nice save right there from Squilliam. Yeah, he did. Nice save right there. We're getting a little bit now. We're tucked right back up underneath Zach one more time. See if he can find a hole right here. He's just putting all kinds of pressure on Zach. Good racing here from Zach and Squilliam, and Urkel now getting himself into the picture. Oh, to the inside goes Squilliam. Is he going to get that spot? No, Zach going to fight back up on the outside there.
Yeah, Zach ended up a bit wide there, and Squilliam nearly took advantage of it as well. Couldn't quite make it through, though, as he now has a look left and right. Outside for Squilliam now. Can he make it through? Maybe not quite. Again, he's looking everywhere, and he's going to make it soon. But surely, one day, here he goes. Oh no! Contact, and they're both off. Down to turn 6, they're both off. Another incident for Squilliam. He's back down to 14th, 13th again. Here comes Prince Adam, by the way. Where does he go? Squilliam keeps 12th at least this time. Zach drops to 14th, and he may well lay the blame there. Squilliam, who was looking down the inside, coming into turn 6.
Jump back and take a look here real quick, see what happened there. We were kind of on a different camera view, so here's Squilliam right behind Zach, takes a look to the inside. Zach kind of got a little bit loose. Kind of looked like he got a little sideways there, but Squilliam was just in the wrong place right there, up underneath Zach right there. Caused the, just looks like they're both just trying to go for the same spot right there to me. What'd you see there?
I think it's one of those things where in dry weather you say, what on earth are these two doing?
Yeah.
Because they've got so much racetrack to play with. And in these conditions, it looks like they've got a lot of racetrack to play with, but actually they don't, because of the puddles on the outside there, or should I say on the racing line there, where you would normally be. The position that Zach actually takes up is not an outrageous one at all to defend, and the one for Squilliam to make the overtake isn't really an outrageous one either. Now, it is a very tight line, but you've got to remember they're both squeezing in on the side of a puddle. It's oh dear, as Corndog goes for a spin there through turn 1. It's like they're both trying to skirt past some roadwork side by side at the same time. The road is normally a bit wider, but on that particular part, because of the puddles on this occasion, it is narrower than normal. So they've just made contact and taken each other off. I get the feeling that might be one of those where they point their finger at each other, and maybe it will go down as a racing incident. Not entirely sure.
Yeah, I've been in that position before. It just depends on where you're at, to who you, if you're Squilliam there on the inside, you think you have that line, and Zach should stay up on top. And if you're Zach, you're like, hey, this is my line, I'm out in front. So I think you're 100% right. They're both going to kind of point their fingers at each other on that one.
You can see it here. So, oh, there you go. That's what happens when you're on the racing line. Zach very out of shape. That's why you're seeing most of the time on the runs at 6, they're running down the middle of the road, and then sort of using that part of the track, even on their own. So that was not unusual driving from either of them, really. Meantime, Dickinson and Joshua Spears come into the pit lane after 16 laps. They've only just made it past half an hour, so really you do need to go all the way on this fuel to actually make it. Nottavin carries on though. I said that 17 might be possible. It's clear that Nottavin's done a bit of fuel saving, so is Jen. Or is it a manufacturer thing, because they're both in Corvettes on the same team? Who knows?
Yeah, I would expect the Corvettes and the Mustangs probably to burn a little bit more fuel up here. Nottavin going to inherit the lead right here. We had you were spot on with your lap 16 or 17 right there. Early pit stops, 32 minutes in. So we could split this race by 2 stops. I can't really tell if anybody took tires. It looks like Dickinson was in the pits for about 24 seconds. Possibly he may have taken 4 tires in that amount of time.
He would have time to do so if he wanted. 24 seconds all round. I think they are all taking 4 tires. Oh no! Prince Adam spins on the way to pit lane. I said it was going to be a treacherous entry, and it was into pit entry for Prince Adam, who also has the unenviable thing of someone in front of his box in the pit lane as well. He doesn't go up on the jacks though, so it's clearly not everybody taking 4 tyres here, but there's time to if you want to, because of course they're taking on pretty much the maximum they can in terms of the fuel tank here. So it is enough time to come in. Here's Prince Adam, way too late on the brakes for these conditions. Way too late.
It's almost like he decided at the last second, you know what, it's like when you're going down the highway and you just about miss the exit, so you just slam on the brakes and cross traffic. That's what he looked like. He just kind of decided late, I'm going to go ahead and come into the pits.
At least he wasn't one of those people who just stopped in the on the middle of the racetrack, just waited to cross the road, as it were. But anyway, he's in anyway, and he probably got a big penalty for that. Actually, I haven't checked his pit time. Yeah, he's still in pit lane. 40 seconds of a time penalty. He will drop a long way back. Although the alternative, I suppose, was going around again and running out of fuel. So what would you rather? Through the chicane. Still some non-stoppers so far. Nottavin and Jen haven't been in, neither have Corrido, Zach or Corndog. Zach is the one involved in this group here. You can see Joshua Spears just in behind. And then, Corrido and Zach just 2 in front. So it looks like Joshua Spears in a quite close battle at the moment, but that's not going to last for too long. And SimCity Racing will get their 1-2 back in a moment.
Yeah, quite a ways back. Dickinson, when they pit stop started, Spears was only 5 or 6 seconds behind at that point, but now about 26 seconds back. Lost a lot of time on that pit stop, so let's see if he can make up some time. But maybe must have had a mistake that we just didn't see.
Yeah, that does feel like a big gap, doesn't it? Compared to before. They only pitted 1 lap, and Nottavin's actually slotted into that gap. Yeah, so it's a huge gap Joshua Spears has suddenly lost.
I'm trying to look back in the events, see if I can see anything. Yeah. But I don't see any offs anywhere, anything recorded. So
no, very weird. The pit stop times are no different. Very strange. The only one that is a bit different is Long Island Nerd taking a 3-stop race today. Must have had some damage early on, because on lap 3 came in for just 6 seconds. Just widened that first and second pit stop window a little bit, but we'll have to take an extra trip down pit lane, which obviously is not going to be the winning strategy today. Squilliam, meanwhile, on the back of Urco. These are 2 drivers who've worked their way through the field through differing circumstances so far this afternoon, but they're now battling away for 10th and 11th.
Yeah, it looks like the rain's starting to come down a little bit harder. You can see it looks like there's actually more spray coming off the cars Looking back from Merkel back to Squilliam here. Squilliam looking to make a room on the outside right there again. He's done this before. We've seen Squilliam up on the outside earlier. Gonna have a good run into this next corner on the inside of Urko, but just not quite enough. Urko doing a good job fighting back here. Like you said, both these drivers moved up through the field. Oh.
Too deep on the brakes there for Urko, and that's a gift to Squilliam, who's now into the top 10 and hopefully can start to consolidate that now. But Urko handed that to him on a plate, really. He went way too deep on the brakes. You could see it immediately because he just decided to turn in straight away. Well, you would do. Just turn in straight away, try and make the corner. Obviously, the front end just pushed on and on and on. He never got to the turn. So Squilliam gets the place. Urko next, then Pancakes Paper Bag. All in a line here for 10th position. But Urko's got to make sure that this is not momentum now that goes away from him, and he's got to make sure those two Mustangs don't pass him as well. Squilliam makes a mistake though through the boss stop and immediately hands him 10th place back again.
Yeah, I really thought once Squilliam got some fresh air out there, I thought he might put some separation back to Urko, but a mistake right there is going to cost him. He's got to fight his way back around that Porsche one more time.
Oh, Notovin's off from second. He was chasing Dickinson. Oh, and he's had a big spin. I thought it was just a short off-track moment, but he's actually going to lose second. Oh dear, oh dear. Notovin was second oh so briefly, but he's lost it through turn 4, and he spins to the left-hand side. Let's hope he didn't hit anything. It's very easy to collide with the barriers down at this corner. It's just clipped the curb there in the white line. If he's avoided the wall, it's a miracle. Oh no, he certainly hasn't. That's a big hit on the wall for Notovin, and that might be a big problem in his race if he's got damage on that car somehow.
That's a big shunt there for Notovin, who worked his way all the way up to second. Unfortunately, that car just snapped around on him right there. Just got on the throttle a little bit too hard. Now going to fall back to third. Bob Nova only about 3 seconds back of him right now in that 4th spot. So we'll see how much damage. See if that hit right there is going to affect. It looks like his speed's still going pretty good for as hard as he hit that barrier.
Unbelievably, it looks okay. It looks, very normal, this car behaviour at the moment. So if he's got away with that, that'll be pretty extraordinary. I think there'll be a few drivers watching this will be a little bit annoyed about that, given the ferocity of that impact compared to some of the others that we see get fairly big damage across the world. But anyway, it's. Someone's going to get lucky always, I suppose, at some stage. This is Teagish on the back of Cat Daddy as Long Island Nerd comes in for the second pit stop of the day. Well, his second, I should say. So, obviously, at this stage, he's not going to make it all the way back to the end of the race. Here's Teagish on the back of Cat Daddy now, right round the outside, through the tri-oval and into turn 1, but it's late on the brakes for the Porsche. Is it too late? Is he going to stop that in time? No way! Way too late on the brakes. And Teagish just goes for the cutback instead.
Good move there from Teagish. Forced the mistake there to Cat Daddy. Cat Daddy tried to drive it down in there. If it had been dry, it might have been a really good drive down into the corner. But on these wet conditions, he just was not able to hold Teagish back right there.
Yeah, pressure getting to him, I guess, and desperation. It almost looked like braking so late on the inside, but you could see immediately that he left it too late. Went sailing off wide through turn number 1, and that is Teagish ahead. Now you wonder whether this is going to be the way that they run now for the rest, because Cat Daddy's back to where he started in qualifying. Teagish has made up 8 places, of course, and seems to have a bit better speed than certainly where he qualified in 15th.
Yeah, Teagish with a few mistakes right there, working his way. He's had to probably work past some of these same cars 2 or 3 times now with a couple offs that he had earlier, up to 7th now. And if we figured out who not actually Bob Racing is we're just going to call it not Bob Wallace. I'm not actually sure who that is.
It's still Black Bob Wallace, but his real name's not actually Bob. But I think at some stage in the season we've been calling him Bob, as if, same as Bob Nova. But,
gotcha.
I don't think... I know his real name. This is his name in iRacing. Real name in iRacing is not Bob. I don't know why he's gone for Black Bob Wallace, but anyway.
One
of those mysteries.
He had a spectacular off last week, if you were here with us, through the chicane at the Roval. Just completely, I think he forgot the corner was there.
It may have been we're talking about visibility all day. It might have been one of those visibility things when you're running so close as that group was at the time. It's very difficult to spot your braking point. We've seen that a couple of occasions here today as well. Very, very difficult to actually see where you're supposed to start braking. With all the visibility.
Yeah, you can see here once again Bob Nova now back behind Nicolator, and there it is again, just all that spray right in front of you. It gets pretty challenging when you can't see like that to even hit your braking points, but this guy's doing a really good job. Bob Nova gets into that. I mean, I can't even. I'm looking at his screen and I can't even see where I'm going.
No, exactly. It's really, really difficult conditions, but fair play to the drivers. They make it work here in the GT3s, and they're doing a very good job at the moment to keep this one going. With just over half the race still to go. It's one of our crown jewel races in the Parabolic Company's J2RCS GT3 Championship. A good evening to everyone watching along at home. Even just, by the way, a few moments ago said that this is going to be the heaviest rain of the rest of the race. So they need to brave through this, and then it will only get easier from here. Good evening as well to Sterling Johnston, who I've said hello to yet. Predicting a Squilliam top 10. Well, he's 10th at the moment. It's been such a yo-yo race for Squilliam, though. You sort of don't know what he's going to do next.
Yeah, exactly. He's been all over the place, up and down throughout the field right now. Settled into 10th right with Paper Bag, but Paper Bag's closing up on the back of him, and I'm really surprised. Squilliam's got that slipstream from Urkel right there in front of him. I figured they kind of closed the gap there a little bit, but just not quite able to. Got Cat Daddy and Urkel, and here comes the Paper Bag taking a look to the inside of Squilliam.
Oh, careful through there. That was pretty nervy from Paper Bag, who looked down the inside of Squilliam there in towards the bus stop. Now there's lap traffic involved here as well. That green and yellow Porsche in front, Grello as the colour, in front is for position. That's Urco, but then you've got another McLaren in front. I think that's Zach, who is, it will be in the next McLaren. And here comes Squilliam. He's on the double yellow, so he's not going to be able to go any lower up through the triangle. Maybe go to the inside at turn 1 instead. There's a puddle out there. He needs to be careful. Side-to-side contact nearly. He's quite late on the brakes. Has he pulled it up in time? He has. Very nicely driven from Squilliam there, who braved it out on the puddles and all sorts on the inside to get through into 9th position.
Yeah, pancakes back in the back of the screen right there, spin off the track. Great move there from Squilliam. You saw Paper Bag try to follow him through, but Urkel closed the door on him. So Squilliam now back up to 9th. So that prediction from the YouTube chat earlier of a top 10, Squilliam's trying everything he can to make that come true.
To the West Horseshoe. Seen a couple of incidents actually for Blackburn Wallace and Tigis in the last couple of moments, by the way. Not so many as to let these guys catch up, because they were nearly half a minute behind before those problems. And they're over a minute off the leader, by the way, after less than half the race. But I wonder whether those two went off together in the battle for 7th place. And Wallace might even have some damage, because he's certainly slowing down compared to... Sorry, I got that the wrong way around. Tigis, sorry, may have some damage. He's slowing down compared to Wallace in 7th place.
Yeah, Tigis did have a couple of offs here. We'll go back and take a look at one of these here. You can see right here. I'm not sure. Is that who's that in the Porsche right there with him? It might have been Bob Wallace. Let's see if we can see who's on.
Yeah.
Looks like it is. Yeah, so Bob Wallace and Tigis with him. We also had pancakes go off back here when we were looking at that battle with Squilliam and Urkel. Let's see if we can jump over to that. There's pancakes in the Mustang.
Yeah, there was a spin in the background of the three battling we saw, and yet drops it on the power. Oh wow, careful! And he backs himself into the wall to help that McLaren just duck the other side and avoid a crash there. So fair play to him for that, but he might have done himself some damage in all of that. So well, anyway, they calm down just for a moment as officially we hit halfway in this race. Still 45 minutes to go at Daytona.
Bob Nova and Nicolator going back out of here for 4th and 5th position. Jumping in the car here with Bob Nova once again. And just see how difficult it is to see one more time. I know I sound like a broken record, but it is just really challenging out there. These guys just doing a great job, especially as they get up on this high banking. You can see that transition off that flat part through the Roval section of the racetrack up onto that high bank and 31 degrees here at Daytona, and just flat out right now in 6th gear, just got the pedal to the floor, I guess is what we would say in the U.S.
Absolutely. Another fastest lap of the race from Dickinson. Really the conditions getting better, and they're going to continue to get better as well. If they put new tyres on maybe at this next final stop, then we could see some of the best times beaten again as Urco Squilliam fight it out for 9th again. Squilliam only just got this position, and now he's being challenged by Urco again. These two do actually seem pretty well matched. Both made a lot of overtakes in the race, although Urco's made less mistakes in the meantime. They've both made their passes, and he's looking on the outside on the way towards the bus stop again, but Squilliam just puts him off before entering the chicane in the racing line.
Yeah, I thought Urco was going to have enough pace there on the outside, but once again, gentlemen racing here, just given the space where they need it. It's tough conditions out there. No really point to force the issue if you don't really have to. We still have a long way to go in this race.
There's still a pit stop to make, of course, and look at that, can't even see the Lamborghini in front. Where's the rain light? Can't even see it. There we go. Pulls out maybe a little bit earlier than he otherwise might, and maybe that's a show of intent that he doesn't want to make this pass just yet. He maybe wants to focus on some battles up ahead. That Lamborghini that stays in 9th ahead of Urco and Paperback, who's there as well. Corrida not too far away in the Corvette. Maybe a show of intent there actually from Urco that he's not going to be hassling Squilliam too much in the next few laps.
He looks content right now to just kind of follow right there. Got Paperback right behind him, Corrido right there behind him as well. That's a lap car there. I'm sorry, that must be Zach as we saw earlier. So good three-car battle there for 9th, 10th, and 11th. I'm kind of looking throughout the field. It looks like Nicolator has made up some ground on the back of Nodovan. I'm looking at that wrong. Oh, this is Bob Nova and Nicolator. Sorry about that.
Yep, this is for 4th. I know Penny's very pleased that Nicolator's having a good race up in 4th at the minute. It's good to see for the early part of this race. I'll say early part. We are getting on with this now, getting towards back end. But yeah, this is a good run from Nicolator, who's not had the best run of form recently, but driving well here and keeping Bob Nova behind fairly comfortably. And Bob Nova as well actually has started to drive a little bit better in this race as well. Initially lost quite a few places quite quickly, but has for the first time looking like maybe make an overtake rather than be overtaken.
Yeah, Bob Nova started up in 3rd, fell back out of the top 10 at one point. Just kind of crawled his way back through here, back up to 5th. And like you said, just kind of looked like he's settled in right now. Had a few mistakes, a couple offs earlier, but now settled into this 5th position right behind Nicolator for 4th. And here we go to Teagish and Bob Wallace one more time going at it here. So Teagish trying to work his way back up. Started back in 15th, now up to 8th.
Squilliam has had to come into pit lane in the last few moments, so more issues for him in this race, unfortunately, and drops to the very back of the field as well, plummets through. It's a shame for the Lamborghini. Sassy and Paperback, meantime, battle away for 11th place. It was pretty short-lived as Sassy sees off the Mustang behind. He's not far behind Zach, so these two teammates, but they're a lap apart, and hopefully Zach doesn't get too much in the way of his teammates' rivals, because that would be a little bit unsportsmanlike. But let's see. Of course, you don't have to jump out the way F1 style in the world of sports car racing. You can continue as you are, and so no obligation for Zach to get out of the way just for the moment, as Corrido has to work her way through and get past in time before Sassy really gets there and starts applying the pressure for 10th as well.
Yeah, lap cars into the mix here just adds another level of excitement. This Paperback and Sassy trying to fight through this lap traffic here with Zach, and I think that is, I'm not sure who that is right there behind him, but lap car is definitely making this race even more interesting than it already is.
Yeah, they definitely are. Well, let's see what happens in the bus stop chicane this time again, as they come through in this battle for 10th. Still Zach in the way slightly, and they follow each other off the road there. Corrido and Sassi, they might both have a slowdown. It looks like they have gotten away with it because they'd be serving it up high through the banking of NASCAR turns 3 and 4 now. So they have gotten away with it. And still, this race just continues to have these smaller 2 or 3 car battles for us to look around all through the field, and this is another one of those for 4th place.
Yeah, back to Bob Nova and Nick Later. They've been going at it here for probably about the last 2 or 3 laps. Bob Nova just trying to force a mistake from Nick Later, get him catching up and paying too much attention to the mirror. We've seen that quite a few times in this race where somebody's got somebody behind him and they lose a little bit of focus and miss a corner, brake too late. But Nick Later doing a really good job here of fighting off Bob Nova.
This has been going on for a while as well. And though the Porsche is always going to struggle to actually make inroads in the places you need to here at Daytona. Paperbag and Long Island Nerd go side by side. It looked like Paperbag was trying to get past, but unsuccessfully just for the moment. Tigges and Blackburn Borsay he caught a glimpse of there still as they are. Tigges in front, 7th place. It's maybe a crash down to earth of reality here today, unfortunately. Starts the day 42 points behind Sean Dickinson, who is back to his best here. Dickinson nearly half a minute in front of Joshua Spears, who's still ahead of Notvin, who in turn is somehow getting away with that big crash that he had through turn 4.
Getting some close battles here throughout the field here. Sassy trying to make up some ground on the back of Corrido. I'm going to pronounce it different every time I say the name. Fighting here try to work your way up into the top 10. We had a couple more offs back here. Looks like Paperbag might have had an incident here a couple of laps ago. We'll see what up on the outside of Urco through the trial section down into turn number 1. And it looked like Urco
hit that.
Yeah, it looked like Urco just got in a little bit deep and caught that left rear quarter panel. Spinner again, not having to take a little bit of damage, but collects his thoughts and keeps on rolling. Yeah, it looks like Urco was fighting really hard right there and just drove in pretty deep, drifted up the racetrack. The
Urco might find himself in a little bit of trouble for that. But you could see him. And it's not a mitigating factor when the stewards are deciding penalties, but you could see that he was trying very hard not to run straight into the side of the Mustang. Just ended up doing it anyway. Can't defy the laws of physics at the end of the day, and so has made the contact. Bob Nova gets a very good run on Nicoletta, though, who gets into the puddle there, coming out of turn 6, and so Bob Nova's got his best chance for a while, but he's in that Porsche, and he's pulled out a bit early here on the way to the bus stop. Has he got an overlap? Not even really. Nicoletta's going to be able to pull back to the racing line if he wants it, but no, that's very late for Bob Nova. Is it too late on the outside for the bus stop? Oh, he looks like he's made it work. Side by side they go through the bus stop chicane. Amazing respect shown between these two, and great racing as well. He just about survives there, Bob Nova, around the outside from that far back's outrageous into the bus stop chicane. Nicoletta's got the inside though for the banking section again. He needs to swoop back into the low side, use the banking, use the slope now, just Bob Nova. There he goes, maybe a little bit late. He gets into the slipstream. He'll have to come back again in that Porsche, but so difficult to do, as we know. On the way towards turn 1, the McLaren with clear road in front of it again. The Porsche with very much not clear road. Late braking exercise again, but Bob Nova couldn't get through despite a spectacular attempt there.
That was some great racing right there. Real respect for Bob Nova and Nicoletta right there. To make it side by side to that bus stop is not an easy task. And they're fighting back. Your Bob Nova once again looking to the outside, trying to find a way around. Just a great race. I'm glad we caught this one when we jumped back over to it.
Absolutely. It is a great fight between these two. And one in which Bob Nova is feeling he has to take his chances at passing Nicoletta, really, because he's not going to get many of them in the Porsche. Of course, there's one coming up in the pit stop window just in a moment, but not a lot he can do until then. He might as well give this one more go before the second pit stops of the day. Just over half an hour to go, and that was his best chance yet, but couldn't quite make it work despite a great effort.
The previous lap had a good run up onto the high banking right here. Let's see if he can do the same thing, get another run down into the bus stop. One more time, Bob Nova closing in on the back of Nicoletta. Got a good slipstream. Not quite as close as he was a lap before. doesn't look like he's going to have the run into the bus stop that he had last time. And as I say that, he's starting to make up a little bit more ground. Let's see if he takes a look to the inside. He's kind of peeking down there, but I don't think he has the same run he had the last lap.
No, and of course, don't forget that the run last lap was created slightly by Nicoletta getting a bad run, and as long as the McLaren hits its marks, it's pretty easy to stay in front through that bus stop. Now you can see it's another better run for Bob Nova, but just watch the gap in the slipstream here, whether it's going to extend or close in. Still closing in for the moment, less than 2/10 of a second. Now, does he have this perfect slingshot working here, Bob Nova? It looks like he might well do, but he doesn't know when to pull out because you can barely see the McLaren, and now it just pulls away. There you get the real top end speed. I'm not sure whether Bob Nova is really backing off there, lifting off already, or whether that McLaren's just better on the top end. It continues to accelerate towards turn one there, but either way, the fact is that Bob Nova couldn't get through.
Just a fantastic battle to watch right here. It seems like every week we've done this series, we see some good battles here. Bob Nova looking to the outside one more time, and Nicolaider just not able to make a run. I think what he's trying to do there. I don't think he's going to be able to try to make that pass, but if he can make a little bit, do that kind of that undercut, and one more time along the side of Nicolaider down into this corner, he's going to have the inside line this time. He might have the pass. Bob Nova side by side one more time with Nicolaider.
Into the West Horseshoe. He's got a long way around the outside here, but he needs to stay there in time for turn 6, and he might now finally have the place. Big load of traction from that Porsche out of turn 5 gets him the place towards 6. Now he's got to nail this exit, and he's got to nail the bus stop chicane as well. If he consolidates this position for one lap, he might well have it to the end of the race, but this McLaren can very much respond on the very next lap, or either the run here at the bus stop, maybe not here now, it's a bit late, but the first corner especially, he will be close enough to give it a go if he gets a good exit here as well, like Bob Nova.
Take a look to the outside as they head towards the bus stop. Not quite enough. Little wiggle there from Nicolaider getting into the corner. And Bob Nova is going to hold on to that position. So it looks like maybe we've settled this out here for at least a half a lap. Let's see if Nicolaider can get a little bit of a run through the high banking here through 3 and 4 up into the trial before we hit the turn number 1. And you can see that McLaren making up some ground on the back of that Porsche. Nicolaider may just have a run down into turn number 1.
Yeah, I said that it might be the run towards turn 1, which is the problem. Look at this. Oh, my word. How demoralising is that? Bob Nova doesn't stand a chance. Nicolaider with just a decent run out of the bus stop. Nothing extraordinary. It's enough to get through. He needs to be careful of the extra speed, and he pulls it up in time for turn 1. That is why I think the Porsche, especially in races at the moment, in this GT3 competition, the way that balance of performance goes and the way that 911 GT3R has been performing for the last year or two, I just think fundamentally, and I know that a lot of the league admins or whatever have given me stick for not liking the Porsche, I think it's a fundamentally flawed car in the race. But anyway, inside for turn 4, we'll see if he can prove me wrong. It's close to contact. Oh, again, they nearly lean on each other, but again, they show each other the respect they require. Round the outside for Bob Nova. We'll give him the inside at 6. He'll have the place again, but I fear it will be same story for him.
Let's see if he can hold on to this position right here. A little loose coming off the corner right there. A bunch of oversteer from Bob Nova. Let's see if that hurts his run off the corner. Actually able to collect it pretty well. Nicolaider actually got about 5 or 6 car lanes back now, so let's see if this McLaren can run down the Porsche as they head down up into the bus stop. I'm almost enjoying. It's hard for me to know what to say because I think I'm enjoying just watching the race more than anything right now.
Yeah, I think this will be the first chance now that Bob Nova has got to fully distance Nicolaider, and I think always that these battles between slow car on the straights but fast in the corners and vice versa is always the most exciting kinds of battles to watch, I must say. But it looks like it might come to an end soon, not least because the pit stops will be here in a moment, as Notlevin just ahead of them comes in. He will kick off the final stops of the day as Nicolaider begins to close. 3/4 of a second is the gap, but he's too far back at the moment. I think I'd be slightly tempted if I was him to come into pit lane, actually, but he's going to carry on. As is maybe the right decision in the end. Over the line they go. This now will be the battle for third place, but now that Bob Nova survived one run round the banking through the bus stop and into turn 1, he might have the speed now and indeed the position to run away.
Yeah, you were talking earlier about just how challenging the Porsche is. I've seen a lot of that chatter back and forth too, talking about just how difficult this Porsche is to drive. I've not had the pleasure to attempt it yet, but you can see just how much of a handful it is off the corners. You see Bob Nova quite a few times just getting on the throttle a little bit too hard, spinning the tires. Fortunately, it's not costing him near as much ground as I would think it would be. And he's starting to put a little separation here on Nicoletti. Let's see if he can hold it as they get back up onto the high banking one more time.
Yeah, I think he's got it now. But it's taken him a long time. And if he loses this place through the pit stop window, he'll be absolutely livid with himself. And indeed, the racing gods, I think, because he absolutely deserves to keep this third place after the efforts he's put in here to make that overtake. But if I know anything about racing, he's just as likely to lose it in the next few minutes. Let's hope for his sake that he doesn't. End of lap 31 for Dickinson. He should be able to go another one. When he carries on, but what I mean is to be able to go only one more for pitting in. If you get these guys, though, are already nearly a minute off the lead themselves. Sean Dickinson is going to lap a lot of drivers in this race. He's going to lap these guys in this group. He's not far away from doing so already. Garlic Dog in 11th, ahead of AJ Teagish and Black Bob Wallace, who are battling over this 11th place.
That's race between Bob Wallace and Teagish has been going on just about as long as that race with Bob Nova and Nicoletti, so they're back battling here right now. But they've got some lap traffic there in front of them to contend with. It's going to add to the level of angst. So Teagish not able to move up near as far up through the field as he was earlier. Had a couple of offs, a little bit of struggle. So last week's winner, mired back here in 13th position right now. And he's got Bob Wallace all over the back of him.
However, this is an outlap, so he might well gain a few places of these back again after the guys in front pit. Remains to be seen how many of those in front of him will pit and how many of those are within a reachable distance, I guess is the more operative thing to say, because there's still a lot to come in, but he's not going to overtake many of them with some of the gaps in front. I mean, that's nearly half a minute between Garlic Dog and the next driver out front, which is Sassy, actually, who just comes into pit lane now. So probably get ahead of Stassi, but how many more of that group just up in front here as they all come onto the banking again? They're past the hour mark in this race, but we continue on for another half an hour in this crown jewel race here at Daytona, as we will at Bathurst later on in the season as well, to round out our championship with a championship finale. No pit stops in front of him this time, so we'll have to make those overtakes on the circuit once again as the race leader comes in as expected at the end of another 16 lap stint.
So I'm just curious who's taking tires, who isn't taking tires, but I don't really have any way to know just by the length of the pit stops here right now. But you can see the track, it looks like it might be, is it drying out just a little bit? It looks like the rain has slowed down. Not seeing quite as much spray as we were seeing earlier. It's kind of hard to tell from the computer screen though.
Yeah, it does look like it's not raining anymore. Anyway, we were told earlier that the weather conditions are never going to be as bad as they were earlier again. A new fastest lap actually from Long Island Nerd last time round suggests that these conditions are getting better. They should all take wet tyres this time round, and I think as a result, especially towards the end of this race, the next 20 minutes or so, we are going to see some of the fastest lap times of the day, and that fastest lap point is going to be on the line as well in these final minutes.
So trying to find some battles throughout. It looks like we may have a battle back here for 11th, 12th, and 13th with AJ Teagish and Bob Wallace all separated by about half a second of each other here. Just trying to find some action right here as Dickinson is just pretty much putting a stink on this race with about a 30-second lead now back to Spears. So it's pretty much Dickinson's race one more time. So this will be if he can hang on right here, it'll be his fourth win of the season out of 5 races for Dickinson.
Yeah, remarkable. And he's been the pick of the bunch of the drivers in all the races as well, you would say, with his run through the field last week, making so many overtakes as he did in that race at Charlotte. As now these guys pull towards the pit lane. Now, can they all get in cleanly on the puddles? Braking along. Oh, it's close. Oh, and he's just pulled it up in time, AJ. Right alongside Garlic Dog there, who comes into pit lane as well. What a great bit of diving on the brakes that was from AJ, who gained loads of time there. Oh, and he's overshot. Yep, there we go. Overshot his box. He undid all of it by overshooting his pit box.
I would expect that's going to be a penalty for sure. I did a good job of not running over the car in front of him right there, but still, unfortunately, probably going to get a speeding penalty right there and lose some more track position.
Oh dear, oh dear. Well, it was a good bit of braking on the way towards the pit line. Bit risky, but I think he got away with it. But then overshot his box at the end of it all. So that would have all undone as Dickinson comes over the line. Still 24 minutes to go as things stand. And you'd imagine probably 12 laps left in this race just for now. Maybe... no, it's going to be 12 more probably. There is AJ and Garlic Dog. So AJ did indeed pull alongside coming into the pit lane, but that overshooting of the box put him out right behind him, and there they are.
And I thought for sure he'd have a penalty after steaming into the pits that quickly, but it's going to come out right back behind Garlic Dog, so back in this 15th and 16th position. And as you predicted earlier, Teagish up to 9th now after the pit stops have kind of cycled, so he was back in 13th. You're right on the back of Nickolator right now for that 8th spot. Going to make a pass. Nickolator was some kind of an issue right there.
Yes, yeah.
Losing a
big issue here for Nickolator.
Lost a bunch of pace right there. I'm not sure what that was. I think he had an off. Let's go back and take a look here real quick.
Now, is there more to this story here? He's already off down the West Horseshoe. So far, this only really looks like wet tyres. Wet tyres. They're all on wet tyres.
Cold
tyres. Oh, he's on dries. Oh, no, he's on dry tyres. He's chosen dry tyres, and that's why he's struggling so much, because the track's soaking. He's chosen dry tyres, and this is a catastrophic decision. I can understand why he's taken the risk somewhat, but you know, he's not had a great result in quite some time. I don't understand why he doesn't just bank a good result here. With a top 5 is what he would have done, but he's chosen dries, and it's a catastrophic error.
There's an awful lot of spray coming off those tires to try to run dry tires right there. That's, I don't, you know, is that a mistake of just not getting the tires selected right when he came into the pits, or was that actually a planned strategy? But it does not look to be paying off. Nickolator was running up in the top 5 with that battle with Bob Nova for such a long time that we just enjoyed. Now falling back to 9th, and may just well fall farther back here before it's over with.
I mean, initially it just looked like he was on cold tyres, but this is what it looks like to be on cold tyres constantly. Maybe by the end of the race the dries might be just about palatable for the conditions, but we'll get a first proper lap time at the end of this lap here, but this is nowhere near fast enough. You can see it there. Corn Dog's about to slip through on the inside as well. Oh, this is going to be a very painful final 22 minutes for Nickolator, unfortunately. He's not only seen a top 5 slip away here, but I think he's even going to finish out the side of the top 10 now.
I feel his pain. It's painful for me to even watch. It was such a great race earlier on, but to fall back right here on on just look like a bad call right now. Nickolator falling way back right now. Unfortunate events right there. We'll jump back here and check out this battle between Garlic Dog and AJ. Back here a little further back in the field for 15th and 16th. Oh, we look up Carita.
Yeah, this is. Oh yeah, here we go again. Dear me.
Carita now find a way around Nickolator. I'm gonna find just about one more way to pronounce that name here. I said Carita. I don't think there's even an A in there somewhere.
Well, I think you should probably just tell us what the pronunciation is. Yeah, in the background there is 10th place. He actually gets placed back from Corn Dog. But Urko will be there soon. No, what's the lap time here? Just checking. 2:08.3. Just as they're going faster than they ever have at the front of the field. You can understand why he's gone for it as well, because it is drying, but it's nowhere near quick enough. And he lost quarter of a minute last time round. He's going to lose a lap at this stage in only 2 laps. That's how much time he's losing.
I don't know if I can watch this anymore. It just hurts. We'll jump back up here to the front. Check out Nottingham and give him a little screen time. Only a couple seconds behind Spears right now. Nottingham working his way up to the front. And our big mover of the race right now is Long Island Nerd, all the way up from 30th to 4th right now. Where did he come from?
Well, he's still got a stop to make, so I do think he's still going to be in the top 10, I think. But he isn't going to gain 26 places, unfortunately, by the end of the day. And in fact, here he comes now. 20 minutes to go. Put 10 laps of fuel in it. That should be enough. And you'll make it home by the end of the day. Maybe 11 to be sure. But yeah, that will be a few positions lost for Long Island Nerd, who overshoots his box as well. You'd think on the second stop they'd have it down, but that's at least 2 that we've seen overshooting their box here.
The wet conditions have got to be tough to get in there. I was looking up. I saw he had 2 pit stops. I thought he had completed. He must have taken an extra stop somewhere early on.
Yeah. I think he had damage after lap 3 because he came in after only 3 laps. So he must have been in some incident, used his fast repair and a little bit more fuel. So he's opened up this last part of the race, but unfortunately for him, making 3 pit stops rather, it was always going to really hurt him. Blackbird Wallace gets past him now. Garrido might be too far behind though, so looks like Long Island Nerd's going to keep 8th place at least, which is a very, very solid gain of over 20 places.
Yeah, nice run up through there. Up into 8th right now. We look up back up in the front here, about the Teagish now up to 6th. Quite a few drivers in this field just yo-yoing up and down throughout the standings. Teagish now finds his way back up to 6th. Looks to settle in here. Bob Nova, we saw earlier with some struggle, now up to 4th. And Nodovan made his way up to 3rd. So, again, where are we at here? We have about 19 minutes left to go, 18 and some change. Definitely Dickinson's race right now, unless just something crazy happens. Almost 33 seconds back now to the 2nd place of Joshua Spears.
Yeah, it's remarkable. I'll get his winning margins up actually, see if this is the biggest. It's a 90-minute race, so you would expect it to be, but I'll just check that in the next couple of moments. Well, it looks like it's pretty certain that he's going to be a race winner again here in the series. Here's Teagish, 6th place. It's a decent recovery to be back to where he is at the moment. Blackbird Wallace, meantime, will try and hold back Long Island Nerd though, and there they go through the bus stop chicane. Long Island Nerd with a decent run, but he's also going to have the problem of being in, but well, I guess the advantage, of being in behind a Porsche. Blackbird Wallace is going to have the problem of being in one. And look at this, it's even a better run for Long Island Nerd as well. As he comes around NASCAR turn 4, and he'll use the slope of the banking here to roar past. He will be clear by the start-finish line. In fact, he will take the racing line before turn 1. And that's a very easy overtake indeed.
Nice run from Long Island Nerd. If he took some, I don't think he had a pretty quick pit stop, so I don't think it really took tires on, so not really a tire advantage, but just gotten that slipstream right there. Bob Wallace able to run him down up into turn number 1. So nice move there from Long Island. Now up 23 positions, all the way up to 7th.
Biggest winning margin so far, by the way, is 10.3 seconds, so this is certainly going to be bigger than that. The biggest winning margin actually this season went to Teagish last round at 20 seconds, but this is a little bit longer. I guess this is just as big of a victory actually as what it was last week, because it's scaled to the time of the race. 30 seconds in 90 minutes is the same as 20 minutes in 60, so 8 seconds in 60. So scaled to the race, it's exactly the same for these two. But anyway.
And we see Dickinson here putting a lap on Nicolator now, all the way back in 13th. Just struggling on those dry tires. He's
5 seconds quicker than what he was when he started this stint. However, still nearly 10 slower than that fastest lap of the race so far, set by Joshua Spears just now.
Gonna lose another spot here to AJ here in about one more corner as they get ready to come up onto the banking, back up onto the high banking here. AJ going to take that spot away. One more spot lost for Nicolator. Now back to 14th. Well, if he's got 11 seconds back to paper bag. Let's see if maybe it'll dry a little bit. He can get some pace going and not lose any more positions.
I have a feeling he's going to lose a few more before the end of the day. It just shows you, doesn't it, that you look at the timing on the left-hand side, you look at the tower and you think, those are some very, very big gaps all the way through the field. And they are. There's no doubt in that. But, a relatively small error, I mean, maybe a small error would be being nice to Nick a little bit. But I think, it's a relatively small error to choose the wrong tyres here. And a conceivable gamble as well to take. If it had worked, he could have easily had it the other way round and won the race. So it was probably worth a go. However, it just shows you that with one wrong choice on the tyres, you can lose so much time so quickly. I mean, he's lost 10 places since he did this.
Yeah, it may just lose some more. It may not be over. We have looking at my time, we have a little less than 15 minutes left to go. That's just made this. In his position, it's a 90-minute. He made a 90-minute race feel like 2 hours, I think.
Well, that is a real shame for Nicolette. It certainly is. Going to be passed by Paperbag and Corndog, who are having the closest battle on the circuit as things stand. As all the others start to spread out across the circuit. Corndog and Paperbag have been fluctuating a little bit where they are. They've had decent speed here tonight, and they'll be both inside the top 15 by the end of the day as well, by the looks of it, as Nicoletta slows towards the end here. See whether these two properly do fight. But, you know, it's taken us a good 75 minutes here to get to a quieter point in the race. Been a very, very busy race here at Daytona. Always the fear in wet weather that the field is spread out so much there's no racing for an hour and a half, but that certainly hasn't been the case tonight.
Early on was definitely a lot of excitement. It was pretty hard to keep up with everything that was going on. Looks like Not Super had an incident here just a couple laps ago. We'll jump back over and take a look at it. Super on the track by himself right here. Just looks like just missed the corner. We've seen that so often that he's wicking his toe. And good job not making some contact with that tire barrier. But we've seen that so often today in these conditions, just getting in, just driving in the corner just too deep, not able to get the car turned in.
As you say, they did a good job to not hit the barrier, which is the main idea through that left-hander. Gets away with it on that occasion as we follow this battle again, the closest battle out there on the circuit as things stand. Not quite catching Nicoletta quite as quickly as they were before, as I mentioned, for the reason I mentioned earlier on, but everybody's setting personal bests. Long Island Nerd actually has the fastest lap of the race now, which is a great drive from him. And further behind, Simply Steve's back in the race after his VR problems. He's 23rd and over, about to go 4 laps down in the race, over a lap down off the car ahead of him. But fair play to him for getting back in the race.
Yeah, I wanted to trying to find some cars that were close together, jump in this cockpit and see if the spray was any better than it was earlier. But it's actually looks just about as bad as it did a few laps ago. I thought it was starting to dry out a little bit, but not quite. You can see right here, this view from Steve, the car in front of him, there's still quite a bit of spray in their face.
Absolutely. It's just far too wet here. Now, I know that in iRacing you can have a lot of spray actually and still make the dries work, but it generally works a bit better the other way round when it started to rain. I mean, we saw it actually at the iRacing Daytona 24-hour special event earlier this year at this very circuit, where the rain did start to fall for the very first time in that event, as it was in 2025. And those that stayed out on the dry tyres for a good couple of stints longer really made a big advantage on the wet tyres. It was pretty close between the two compounds, unlike here, but was a definite advantage. So maybe that's been in the back of a few people's mind, that the spray has been severe, but it has been in the past when the dry tyres have been useful. And Nicoletta, by the way, just improved by another 2 seconds on his previous best. So he's clearly getting quicker. And watch how he competes with these guys now. Paperbag and Corndog will find this a lot more difficult than what the guys have found it earlier, although it is still a bit of a mismatch.
Oh, it was just a lap and a half ago. This was an 11-second gap from Nicoletta back to Paperbag. They've closed that gap down. But you're right, Nicoletta is able to get a little bit better traction here. He's picking up the pace just a little bit. Not, about 3 laps ago, we'd have seen Paperbag just drive past him like he was sitting still. But Nicoletta able to put up a little bit of a fight here.
To turn 1. Last time, a 2:03, which was still 4 seconds slower than Paperbag, in fairness. So it's not that close. But it's not the 14 seconds that it was earlier on in the race and earlier on in this run. So he defends again to the inside. Might feel actually at this sort of time in the race that he could defend to the end, but he can't. He's going to see Paperbag and Corndog go right round his outside, and he's now going to miss out on a top 15.
All the way back throughout the field. He's got, about 10 minutes left to go. If this can dry out just a little bit, maybe he can make up a couple of spots. But at best, he may be able to fight his way back around Corndog and Paperbag for about 14th, so definitely not the finish he was hoping for earlier on. We'll jump back here to this battle with Corndog. This is about the closest, Corndog and Paperbag, the closest battle we have on the racetrack right now.
Well, It's less than 10 minutes to go. They've got to resolve this one quickly between the two of them. They've over a lap down on Sean Dickinson, who's actually well up the road after lapping them here in the race. So they'll have to do one lap less than the leaders. They'll be absolutely fine on fuel unless somebody's made a big miscalculation here. Paperbag's only job now is just to hit his marks and stay in front of Corndog in this 14th place through the bus stop chicane. That was very cleanly done. And that Mustang's going to be very, very difficult to beat on a circuit like Daytona.
I'm going to take a look back here at Pancakes. Pancakes' first race here with the J2ICS Racing League. Had a good run earlier, started way up in 7th, but has now fallen way back to 19th. Sure they hope for a much better finish than where they're going to end up right now.
Yeah, and I'm sure that next week will be an opportunity to put that right as we go back to the 1 hour races. That starts at Rudskogen next week for our second European trip, if you like, second European leg of the season. Rudskogen and Brands Hatch, after the opening 2 races of the season, were taking place at European circuits, Nürburgring and Navarra. So some slightly unusual circuits in the European calendar, but that is one of the things about J2ICS. We do visit some circuits that aren't often utilised, so good that Navarra got on the calendar earlier this season, and Rudskogen will do later on in the season. I don't know if you've ever seen Rudskogen. It's a very unusual circuit.
I have. I'm not even familiar with that circuit at all. Where is that even at?
No. It's in Norway. Don't know where, but somewhere in Norway. And yeah, it's very unusual. A very unusual circuit. I think it is a free circuit, so we should still get decent numbers, even though it's not a very well-known circuit. There may be a few people testing the waters, and maybe a couple more mistakes than what we normally see. But yeah, a free circuit, so hopefully we'll have a good entry once again, like we do at the more popular circuits that we've had in the last couple of weeks, like Daytona here today, of course.
I'm looking forward to a couple weeks to Brands Hatch, too. One of my favorite tracks that I've ever had the pleasure to drive on in sim racing. That should be a fun race as well in a couple weeks.
Yep, it will be. Although, again, pretty difficult to overtake her on there, which is going to be, I guess, fitting in with Belal, which is only a 3-week break after that as well. So some similar races to come in the second half of the season, as Corndog has a look at Paperbag on the way towards turn 1. Looks to the outside, and there's going to be no way through there. The big Mustang in the way. Paperbag able to keep the position. That's the closest Corndog's come in a while.
I came across the start-finish line right there, and Corndog's flashing his lights at him. I didn't really expect Paperbag to move out of the way, but good try on Corndog's part.
One of those just distraction techniques that people almost do out of habit now, but I'm not sure that it ever really works. I mean, it certainly didn't send Paperbag too late on his braking mark for turn 1 on that occasion, and I doubt it ever will do. It's much more about the personal mental side of things, really. I don't think you're very likely to get distracted personally by headlights flashing behind.
The closest race we have on the track right now. Nodovan was closing up a little bit on the back of Spears, only about 2 seconds, but with just a little over 5 minutes left to go, we're going to keep an eye on this one right here. See if we can find some action on the racetrack for you. Is everybody pretty well spread out as far as positions go? We do have some cars close together on the racetrack, but not really battling for positions at this point. A lot of lap cars in it, spread throughout the field right now.
Yeah, as Tegish catches up to Katnadi as well, so there'll be one or two things to keep an eye on here in the last 5 minutes or so. Dickinson goes over the line, and it will be 3 laps to go as things stand for Sean Dickinson. 46 lap race. It will be here tonight, as was predicted by league admins, of course, who make us some helpful notes about especially the length of these stints in terms of fuel tanks, and indeed the length of the race as well. Predicted absolutely bang on this occasion, as they so often are. 46 laps this time round, and a pretty narrow pit window as a result. Over the course of the 2 windows, we certainly saw that Cat Daddy here will be looking in the mirrors. Tigges and Long Island Nerd will be queuing up behind here. Porsche, of course, will be a little bit wounded in a straight line. But Long Island Nerd is one of the fastest drivers in the circuit at the moment. Another personal best lap time last time. That was 1.7 quicker than the Porsche. So he's definitely coming quickly, but with not many laps to go.
Yeah, I noticed that about the same time you did. Long Island Nerd just kind of snuck into the picture right there. Going to have a 3-car battle for this top 5 position before this is over with. Long Island Nerd definitely making up some ground on the back of Tigges right now, but Tigges trying to find a way around Cat Daddy as well as we head down into the bus stop. Or I'm on the wrong part.
Tigges is going to fly through here. Look at this. Oh, the tri-oval. This is going to be easy for Tigges. Another example of that Porsche struggling towards turn 1. And Tigges is in the top 5. So Long Island Nerd now has got to follow through pretty quickly. Otherwise, that chance of a top 5 is going to run away up the road quite quickly.
Yeah, he's going to have to find a way around, like you said, pretty quickly right here. But I think what we're going to see, Long Island Nerd, once they get up onto the banking here, and they get out of this Roval section up onto the banking, I think you're going to see Long Island Nerd just making pretty quick work at Cat Daddy before they head down the back straightaway.
I think so. But even if, waits to the bus stop, turn 1, might be too late by then. Tigges is already 3/4 of a second ahead. Don't forget, there's not going to be many laps left of this race at all. These guys will stay on the lead lap, or at least should do. So they'll get the 3 laps, including the one that they're currently on, which is one of the 3. And that wasn't helpful either. Long Island, a bit of a mistake there. He'll gain some time as Cat Daddy goes through the puddles there, but that was a little bit of time lost. Now needs a really good bus stop chicane.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to make up that much ground before they get to the bus stop. But like you said, if he can get through there well and come out of the bus stop up into the rest of the banking right there with some speed, a great run down here into the bus stop. But I don't think he's going to have enough pace to get there. Backs off just a little bit, but does a really good job staying on the back of Cat Daddy here through the bus stop chicane to see what he can do coming off back up onto the banking.
He's not quite got the exit, but should have the straight line speed. Acura versus Porsche this time around. And he's now, there, starting to see the difference. Initially, the gap extended. Now it comes back again as Long Island Nerd roars on past on the outside. Cat Daddy can't do much about it, but the Porsche still able to keep its nose in for a brief moment. Not quite close enough, though, into the braking zone itself. And Long Island Nerd gets into the 6th place, gets away with 6th place now. So, Tigges next up. Is there enough time? I'm not sure. 2 laps to go, including the one they're on at the moment. And there is a second between the 2 already now.
Take a look back here at Bob Wallace and Carito. Also, the battle early, just a few laps ago, everybody was kind of spread out, but we've got some battles for position here as we come into the closing lap of the race.
And now that final lap, by the way, has started as Dickinson sets another fastest lap of the race so far. That's, as expected, continuing here as the conditions continue to get better. And, of course, the fuel load comes down as well. These guys will just stay on the lead lap, and so will be a lap out the line here, and that won't be great news to Tigges, but Long Island Nerd may well need it to get up into that top 5.
Let's see what kind of run Long Island Nerd can have heading down into the bus stop for the last time. Or one more time anyway. Not the last time, so the Long Island Nerd's going to have one more run here. Making up a lot of ground on Tigges to see if he can get enough to make a late lunch. Not quite. If he can get through the bus stop without making a mistake like he made earlier. Oh, good run through the bus stop there for Long Island Nerd. That was a great run through there.
And look at that. Tigges says, well, if it's going to be that good, then you might as well go through. And now try and come back at you on the way down the latter portion straight. Very smart from Tigges, I've got to say. Unless he's serving a slowdown. No, he isn't. He's actually trying to come back at him now. He'll swoop to the low side and he'll use the slope a little bit now to get back in the slipstream again and start to use that Mustang power. If the exit's not going to be good enough, then he's going to try and do it into turn 1 instead. Not this time. He's going to have to wait, and he's going to have to do it somewhere else on this final lap of the race. Meantime, Dickinson is going to come towards the line in the next few moments and out to the bus stop chicane. An hour and a half of lapses here for the race leader after missing out on race victory at the street circuit, Roval, I should say, of Charlotte a few weeks ago, 1 week ago. It's going to be Dickinson who comes back to Daytona to win here at the World Centre of Racing. The checker flag waves, and Dickinson wins again in the Parabolic Company's J2RCS GT3 Championship. His biggest winning margin of the season so far. Hardly surprising, over half a minute back to his teammate, Joshua Spears.
It's going to look like this battle here between Long Island Nerd this battle between Long Island Nerd and Tegas is going to come down here to the last half a lap as they're going to make their way out of the rubble for the last time, back up onto the banking. But I think Long Island Nerd's going to have enough pace right here to keep Tegas back. So just a great run from Long Island Nerd. 25 spots, started way back in 30th, had a horrible qualifying run. Or didn't qualify at all, I didn't quite remember, but all the way up to 5th. So Tegas going to try to run him down, but just not enough pace right now.
Either qualified badly or never at all, but either way, through the bus stop, that looks like it's a good enough run now to see the Acura finish 5th. 1.1 seconds. What a great run from Long Island Nerd. Surely the best driver of the day. 25 places gained and gets that top 5 position. Very well done to him for gaining all of those places over the course of the day. 5th place. And Tegas might have even run out of fuel at the line. I'm not sure. He's slowing down. And there you go. Catley gets past on the way to the line, so he does run out of fuel. But Tegas will just about get over in 7th place. He'll be ahead of Corrido, Wallace and Urco, who are pretty close together here. Urco on the run to the line is quite close behind Blackburn Wallace and actually pulling alongside nearly on the way to the Trival. It's going to be inside for Blackburn Wallace, who stays ahead of Urco. Urco gets to the top 10 at least. That's 15 places gained for him. 2 Porsches running nose to tail to the line. So a couple of very late battles there for us to see.
Great finish right there. Yeah, I thought it was going to get kind of boring the last couple of laps. Not too many battles going on, but they proved me wrong right there as everybody kind of closed up, made some good fights there at the finish. So Dickinson with another win. Tegas, last week's winner, a little disappointing, probably back there in 7th. Had that 5th spot kind of locked down, but Long Island Nerd just kind of came out of nowhere. Nice top 5 finish from Long Island Nerd as well. So Dickinson, Spears not in the top 3 right now. Let's see if I can get the results
great.
for us.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the results and we'll chat to a couple of the drivers. Dickinson wins by 35 seconds as Joshua Spears, who just held off a late charge from Nottingham. Bob Nova and Long Island Nerd ran at the top 5. Catley and Tegas in that group, of course. Corrido finishes ahead of Bob Wallace and Urco on that run to the line as well. Sassy, first driver, 1 lap down. Jem was also a lap down alongside the likes of AJ, Paperbag, Corndog. They all rounded out the top 15 by the end of the day. 16th place went to Nicolator ahead of Garlic Dog. Easier Dallas, Pancakes, not Supra, all 1 lap down, by the way, here for these guys. 2 laps down for Zach and Pebble. Simply Steve 4 down after his VR problems. With the retirements, Prince Adam, Squilliam, Spook Dubs, G-Bay, Captain CK, Biker Pilot, and Just Dylan, who all retired from the race and failed to get to the finish. Let's have a chat then to Sorgan Dickinson, shall we, who has won the Daytona Crown Jewel race here tonight. Sean, welcome in and congratulations on a Crown Jewel victory. 35 seconds your gap to Joshua Spears at the line, and setting your fastest laps on the very last laps as well, as the conditions were improving there. But tell us about the conditions first of all. Just how challenging were they tonight?
Yeah, it definitely started off rough. It was way worse in the beginning of the race. Once we hit about midpoint, it started to kind of ease up. And then we kind of had a fast lap shootout between like 4 drivers just passing it around. And I'm like, I have to get it. I just pushed to all hell at the end of the race to get it. So it was fun.
And you say fun, but we've been told from multiple sources that this is one of your least favourite circuits, perhaps your least favourite circuit of all time. So tell us how that battle of wills was throughout the day. Not enjoying this circuit very much on its own.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not a big fan of the track. I definitely don't like it in the rain either. I'm glad I was able to find enjoyment elsewhere, and then not having anyone around me helped me just click off the laps and hang out with my buddies. My buddy Alex, his first race, he's named Pancakes in here. It's his first time through. I'm helping guiding him through what's going on. I'm getting to watch the battles behind me. So I was able to find other enjoyment even though I don't really like the track, but it ended up working out.
Well, congrats on that tonight, and another victory, of course, in the series. And of course, we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Thanks very much. That is Jordan Dickinson, the winner tonight from Daytona, ahead of his teammate Joshua Spears, who finishes in second place. Joshua, welcome in and congratulations on second place here tonight. Bit of a yo-yo race between yourself and Notvin, but you just about held on to the line there as well. 1 second was the gap. Were you looking over your shoulder there in the final minutes as he was closing in a little bit?
Definitely was. I kept starting to slide the tire once I saw he kept gaining a tenth or two, and I was just trying my best just to hold the gap, but I did at the end, so I'm happy for that.
Absolutely, it's another 1-2 for the team as well. You stay 1-2 in the championship. Will extend the team's advantage as well for SimCity Racing. The first half of the season's come to a close, and I guess for you guys, it couldn't have really gone very much better.
Yep, so far so good right now. I'm just glad me and Sean are working things out.
Yeah, I'm running out front together. One more thing, Rudskogen next week. Is it a circuit you know very much about? One you have to put some hours in for?
I would have to put hours in, but I'm going to be at work, so I'm going to unfortunately miss next race.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll hopefully see you back, of course, the week after. But for now, Joshua, congratulations on finishing second tonight. And again, thanks for chatting to us at the end.
Yep, you're welcome, guys.
Thanks so much. Joshua Spears, second place here behind his teammate Sean Dickinson at the front. With Notvin finishing in third place tonight. Notvin, welcome in and congratulations on a third place finish. So nearly, though, it was a second, not least because you were catching towards the end there and the gap was only a second, but also that spin you had through turn 4. I think it was around halfway through the race when you'd come out in second place. Just tell us about that spin and how you're feeling at the end, whether you feel maybe you should have had second tonight.
I mean, yeah, I had a spin, but Josh also had a spin, so it kind of it evened itself out, I thought. But the big issue with my spin was I collected some damage off of it, and that just made the rest of the second stint just a lot slower than it should have been. And then it was, as soon as the pit window opened, I pitted to fix it up, and it was so much faster. I was losing so much time with the back end damage. I can't see how much it was, but it felt so much nicer to get it fixed.
I must say, it was a good job of disguising it because we didn't see any visible effect actually to the damage. Was your suspension out of shape? Was it aero damage? What was the problem? It didn't look damaged really at all.
I haven't seen it. It just was really slow. I think I lost some top end. But like I hit the wall pretty good, and then it kind of spun me around. Then I hit the nose as well. So perhaps I haven't seen the spin yet, but it was definitely noticeable. And when I pitted for repairs, the car was a lot faster. I'm just roughly guessing. It was probably costing me about half a second on the second stint. But it's hard to say. Overall, I think it was a pretty good race, and I'm really glad to finally finish on the podium this season. It's been too long.
Absolutely, and probably move up to third place in the championship as well as a result of this result. If you watch this back, don't listen to us saying it looks like you got away with it, because clearly you didn't in terms of damage. Because we were like, oh, it's fine, he's not got any damage at all, but that clearly wasn't the case as it turned out. Nevertheless, as you say, congratulations on a podium finish, and hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Yeah.
That's not in third place here tonight from Daytona in the Crown Jewel race, the first of our 2 Crown Jewel races this season. Well, Chris, it was a good round of the championship. I mean, always the fear with a wet hour-and-a-half race is that you're going to have a lot of time to fill as a commentator and not very much to talk about. But that wasn't the case here tonight. There was battles absolutely all the way through, right to the very last there.
I was looking forward to this race all week long, and it just did not disappoint. Just action all the way throughout, all the way right to the end. We had cars fighting right to the finish line for position. So just a pleasure being here with you again, Ewan. You do a great job filling in the holes for me. So, because like you said, 90 minutes is a long time to try to fill. So pleasure being here with you. And I'm just really looking forward to next week too, and the rest of the season from there on forward.
All right, thanks very much for being alongside me. Chris Murphy, myself, Ewan O'Leary. We'll be back again next week, as we've been talking about. Rudskogen is the venue. be very different for a lot of our drivers. So we look forward to seeing you back. Same time, same place, ready for the next round of the Parabolic Company's J2 ICS GT3 Championship. There from Rudskogen for round 6. As I say, this is just about it from us at Daytona. Big thanks to everyone who's been tuned in tonight, as always. We'll be back in 7 days' time from Rudskogen, but from all of us here from Daytona for now, it is goodbye.